Hey everybody,
How you doing?
CoRoenosphere 12. We made it. Woo! In studio today, Mr. Steve Griffith, the one and the only. Steve, it's great to have you here, buddy.
Thank you, Bruce. Good to be here.
All right, so we do our customary lift.
All right, well, I'm here with Jimmy A.
Hey. Oh, yeah.
Of Vector and what else?
Among other things.
Among other illustrious, I gotta think, Ragamuffins,
Peacock.
Charlie Peacock,
Mullins.
Hindalong.
God.
You played with Hindalong?
If
I
I
don't
can.
know. I don't know,
Done
man.
a few.
He's just not. He's not. Oh, wait a minute. I thought, sometimes I feel like he's behind me.
He's kind of everywhere.
Like he's
all
kind of
the time.
omnipresent. That bothers me. Anyway, here we are in East Nashville.
East Nashville,
In
Tennessee.
Jimmy's backyard. And he is building an art studio, recording studio, general rumpus room.
Yep.
And I'm gonna try to attempt to show you
Hey, the
this
light's on down
structure.
there.
And it's very cool looking. It looks kind of small on the screen right now, but that thing is really big, and maybe later we can venture over there for a little minute. But anyway, I'm very excited to be here tonight.
Who's that?
That's
That's
me.
Mike.
Oh God! Oh, the ladies are going to see my wonderful chest here. I better button up.
What shirt do I have on?
You have a T-shirt on that says Pine Hill
Tanks.
Haints.
Old time music. Killer band.
No, I'm going to get in trouble for you wearing a white shirt because that's kind of a no-no on.
You want me to change?
No, you're fine. But no, it's a no-no.
Are you guys actually rolling?
Yeah, we're rolling, man. Jimmy's rolling.
I'm rolling too.
Now, this is not an illegal substance. Jimmy smokes. What brand do you got there? Is it American Spirit?
Organic.
Organic
tobacco.
American Spirit with tops, and he's got a roller. Man, he's got his thing all set
You
up.
just rolled me one.
What? You don't even smoke.
I know I don't.
He smokes when he's with me once a year, about.
Well, I've always told people it's a cigarette that does the smoking. I'm just the sucker. Anyway, I'm having a hard time getting myself in here. Maybe that's just as well. So, I met you, I want to say, 42 years ago
In
the
1978.
in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Were you there? With Darla Greiser, Tom Goodlunas, and a bunch of people from the Warehouse Ministries in Sacramento.
Was it in June?
Yes, it was.
I think that was the weekend Michelle and I got married, because we got married 42 years ago in June, and it so happened to be the same weekend as the camp.
Yeah, there's like they did a camp for what, the musicians, or was it?
It was for college, high school, college.
College and career class.
College and career or something.
There you go.
All I remember is that the pastor Roger Keskes
Yes.
gave me a wad of money before he left,
Mm-hmm.
and he apologized for booking that gig on top of our wedding,
Oh.
because a lot of our friends went to that instead of our wedding,
Oh.
which was actually a good thing, because we didn't have a big wedding. We had a small wedding.
Mhm.
We didn't have any money.
Wow.
But Roger gave us, I think, $1,000.
That was a lot of money in those days.
It was back then. It paid for our honeymoon.
Man.
He felt so terrible about that. But I did not meet you then, but I met you really soon after that. I'll
Yeah.
never forget meeting this you were a very nervous boy. I remember you as being sort of a little out of your element because you were in Sacramento. Were you living with Marion Lewis?
No, I was living with Tom Biggs,
You were living with Tom and
his wife. At
what was
the
her
time.
name?
Well, she went out with Jan
Yeah, I remember that
before
woman.
that.
Anyway, that's right. But
Yeah.
you had been transplanted from San Jose.
Yes.
And all I knew is that this guy's a great musician.
Well, that's good. I'm
we
glad
played,
you thought
we
that.
played something together. We were meant to be in a band together, and it was you and me and Sharon.
Well,
and
this brings me to a real strange fact.
Yeah.
And that strange fact is that when I first got to Warehouse Ministries in Sacramento from San Jose, the first thing they wanted me to be part of was a group, a rock group.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted me to do this because they wanted to have a group that was put together of musicians from the church
Mm-hmm.
to go out and play all the local high schools and colleges to give an example of the kind of rock music that
That
the
they're going to
church
hear on Saturday night.
was featuring every Saturday night.
Mhm.
They had a Saturday night concert for just years and years and years.
Mhm.
And so they said, Roger was also the guy that asked me. And I
Yeah.
said, well, I only have one demand, and that it's got to be good or I don't want to do it. And he
Right.
says, oh no, we wouldn't allow it if it wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I needed to hear.
Right.
So he asked you,
Yeah.
Sharon McCall, Jan Eric,
Yep.
Jan Voles as we know him, and Mark Proctor on drums, and then there was a guy
Wasn't
named
Mark Tootle part of that?
yeah,
too?
and Mark Tootle. But there was another guy. For some reason you didn't do it. I don't even think you made a rehearsal. You might have made the
No,
first
I
one.
remember rehearsing a few times, and I remember recording.
Yeah.
At Heavenly.
Well,
with
that's a
you.
different situation.
That's a different one.
That's part of the group.
Oh,
that
okay.
was when Sharon did her demo.
Oh.
You played bass. You played your Telecaster bass.
Well, that was Griffith's friend, Unger.
Oh yeah,
Rick Unger's Tele
now
bass.
Cole Unger, right? I thought, why did I always think that was yours?
I used it for years.
So you're telling me that
Rick Unger owned.
Cole is sitting on a Tele bass?
Yep, probably.
I'm gonna call him.
You should.
I gotta call him right now.
Yeah, because I borrowed it from Rick. Jan organized that because Jan asked me. All I know is that I was in a room with people and we were trying to do something, but I sure didn't know what it was. And I don't remember why I didn't get to stay.
Yeah, this has been there was a Latino guy, a Hispanic guy, and it wasn't Craig Martinez, but it was a guy that had a name like that. Was it Chris Rodriguez?
Oh, was he a guitar player?
Maybe. Or
Chavez?
maybe no, it wasn't like that.
Okay.
But he did
Yeah,
the
I don't
first
remember
several
that either.
rehearsals. I do not believe he ultimately played a gig with us. He dropped out. You dropped out for whatever reason.
Right.
I would love to know why. But
Me too.
that would have changed history.
It would have changed my history for sure.
And, there's part of me that is, of course, glad you dropped out, but also sad because we could have had an
You know
awful lot of fun.
I'm thinking that I moved to Colorado for a year. That's what it was. That's why I left.
Are you
Michelle,
sure?
Yeah, because in '78
you-
we got married,
Yeah.
and literally Alexia was born 2 years later. No, so that wasn't it. I'm searching my guts.
Maybe your
for
wife
why.
just didn't want you in a,
Oh no.
in a rock band.
No, that would never have.
Okay.
No, she was happy.
All right.
We were serving God.
well,
This was ministry.
okay. Well, then, okay. So it got down to where.
Anything goes.
So it finally whittled down to myself, Tootle, Mark Proctor, and Jan.
Right.
The four of us. Oh, and Sharon.
And Sharon.
And Sharon was great. We did several gigs. Our first gig was at Sierra College.
Yeah.
In September of 1979. So we've already had
Wow.
our 40-year anniversary,
No kidding.
and we played on the quad
At
and
Sierra.
at Sierra College, and we played every high school every.
You know, I was still playing with Tom Galunas in Panacea.
You know what? I bet that's why it was.
And I think that's why. I think Mary insisted that
They-
I did not leave my original
Yeah, because
commitment.
this was before we got into
Boy,
that
I really
whole.
wanted out of that too. No offense, Tom, if you're watching.
You know,
But that the idea of playing rock and roll,
that appealed to you at the time.
big time, because we
See,
were playing like folk rock.
Well, you were playing really like gypsy music. You were playing
Gypsy.
world music, like
Yeah, it
folk.
was crazy.
Like it was really a really fascinating, kind of ahead of its time
It was okay.
style at the time.
Yeah. Oregon.
And I got to play with Panacea some, and it was a lot of fun. But
Wow, that's I guess too far back
maybe
for me to remember exactly. Huh. So 78, I moved away in 80, came back in 81, and then immediately started playing with Steve Griffith.
wow.
And at the same time, I started playing with Charlie in his band with Brent and Charlie and Eric Clevin and who was that crazy? Herbie Kreitzer. Did you ever know
Herbie, yeah.
And we did a handful of gigs, and then Brent wanted me to split and join him and Larry,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't.
Larry Tagg?
Yeah, because I was committed to Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it seems like I no sooner did that. We played about a year with Clarice and Vince.
Mhm.
I mean, it was a
No, I
pretty
remember
crack
the
band.
group. It was a good group.
And then I'm trying to remember why I ended up. Oh, because Vector, we did 2 records, and then I don't really remember the crossroads of why I ended up coming back with, because I left the Peacock band
Mm-hmm.
to do the Vector second record because Chuck left the first record. After the first record, he left. And then Steve and I and Bruce did a record by ourselves.
Right.
And then I jumped back in. In the interim, Mike Miller, who I love and adore to this day,
Michael Miller.
was a guitar player for a year or
Yeah,
two.
they did that tour. I did the first tour, and then they did the second one.
Yeah, and so you did the first tour with Bongo and
and
that was the tour
Clevin.
I wanted to do.
Yeah, it was
That
epic.
was insane.
It was epic. And Jimmy's desperately trying to remember why he quit one group, joined another, and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I don't really remember. I do remember I wasn't really in charge of my own life. You
Well,
know what I mean? We had a lot of people helping us.
Well, it
make
got to a
decisions.
point where, unlike at the beginning when you weren't encouraged to be in more than one group, there came a point where we all became in each other's groups. That there was a sort of a mobility is the good word. You know, people would say incestuous, but I call it mobility because that means that we had the ability to move from one group to another without there being a lot of contradictory.
Well, and we were in the same building.
We're all
By that
working
time, we
together.
had this recording studio that had been assembled on our behalf. I mean, just like If I Could Laugh, I don't remember exactly, but I remember somebody tracking me down. Might have been you. It might have been Daryl Zachman, saying, "Hey, can you play guitar on this song with Mike?" And we came in. It was very organized. We rehearsed a little bit, and then we just did it.
It was one take.
It was one take. It was really fun. And I just listened to it this morning for fun because you had said, "Hey, you want to do a song? Let's do I Could Laugh." And I was just flooded with the memory. I worked with Elmer, who was
Elmer was a janitor at the church,
and so was I.
and Jim. We all worked at the church. We
Yeah.
had jobs during the day. We didn't just sit around and
Yeah.
record.
Right.
I was a secretary, a promo organizer.
You were doing Rock and Religion.
Yeah, and I was, in the early years, I was helping record. I started out just doing research. Then I became the announcer. Then I became the producer.
Exactly.
And that was a heavy scene. I mean, this was like an internationally syndicated radio program that was on wasn't on Christian stations. This was on,
on
like
regular.
big stations like
Back in those days,
WNEW in New
every
York
station had to carve out time for some religious
programming.
broadcasting.
Yeah, it was required by the FCC.
Hmm.
It was part of their regulatory
Yeah.
agenda.
And this fit the bill perfectly.
Yes, because it sounded better than, well,
Yeah.
first of all, it sounded better than any gospel shows there were.
Hmm.
And it also, because of Tom Biggs, who was working at a local radio station,
Yeah.
he had high standards, so they learned how to produce it to sound
That's
as good
right.
as, if not better than, in some cases,
Exactly.
the programming that was on.
That's
So
hilarious.
I learned how to do high-quality radio
All of
production.
that.
Daryl Zachman was the engineer. We started learning how to, when we would do the music and the
Yeah.
music beds, we eventually got to the point where we weren't just, Tom used to like have a 4-track and we'd copy
Yeah.
the record on there. And then I said, man, I want to get it better than that. Let's record the album direct to the Ampex ATR 1/4 inch. So like when the last show we did was The Call with Michael Bean.
Yeah.
And we interviewed him, right?
Yeah.
So we played that, that whole thing. We cut that thing right to a 15 IPS tape so that
Wow.
it sounded exactly like
The record.
the record. So it was as good as their regular programming.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was really proud of that.
Yeah.
But then we got the word. The FCC deregulated their whole scene.
And it
All of a
ended.
sudden, we lost half of our stations.
You know what I have in my basement that's about to be on the grounds? I have probably a dozen masters, mothers. The mothers are the nickel-plated brass
Of what?
rock and religion.
Why on earth would you have those?
Because Mary gave them to me. They were getting rid of everything.
But why would she have them?
She didn't actually have them in her possession. They were in the storage room. I was drawn to them because they're these beautiful nickel-plated on brass where they cut the master and then they make the lacquer
Right.
from the,
Yeah.
the
I don't think
print,
I've
the
ever
imprint.
seen one.
Oh, I'll show you 'em.
I don't know.
They're going to fly back here on a wheel to more or less,
You're going to make an art piece out of them?
it's going to be a
Nice.
Calder sculpture.
That's great.
That's going to be a whirligig, I'm calling them,
Nice.
on a 12-foot pole, which you can see the poles over there. They're going to be up high on a little axle, and it's going to be perfectly balanced, and the wind will make it move or not.
Weird.
It's going to be great, but it's rock and religion masters.
Mama don't understand. She wants to hold my hand night and day, and she don't like my clothes, and they're wearing thin on her nerves, and she don't like my hair, and my glorious crown brings her down, and she won't take me serious. Think I'll join the circus, be a clown. They'll all laugh, they'll all laugh, they'll all laugh, but it's not funny, no. And I'm restless, won't bust out of my skin. Got a rocket in my pocket, got no fuel, no charted course, got no direction. No, they did not give me those in school. But yes, I've been a fool jacket is gonna help me hack it to pieces, man. I've had it, and you can have it. You'll all laugh, and you'll all laugh, you'll all laugh, yeah. But it's not funny, no, it's not funny, no. Well, I wonder what will get me off, so I'll pick and choose and take. And in a couple of years, you're right, I'm left with a great big heartache, so deep and wide that no matter what I stuff inside, it's empty, just the way it came. It's a crying shame, but all the same I laugh. Yes, I laugh. Yes, I laugh. It's not funny at all. Should I recall all the people I have hurt along the way? And should I try to justify every wrong I did not right? But two wrongs don't make it right, so it keeps me up at night. So I lie awake and wide awake, and meanwhile I dwell on the baby that I killed, or the drink I should have not refilled, every heart I broke into, left to die, bleeding on the roadside. Or should I sit, let my eyes get filled with mist, for every girl that I should not have kissed, and all the broken family ties, the loved ones I have missed, I have missed in my eyes, but still I cry. But why should I, and I could laugh, I could laugh, I could laugh. It's not funny, no, it's not funny, no. And everything I've got I'm gonna lose, both good and bad will pass. And what next? What lies beyond the broken dreams and shattered mirrors that I keep looking into? Check my luck or skill, but only pride, only pride, only pride, only pride keeps staring back, and still I laugh, still I laugh. Oh, none of this, of course, will stand when I stand before the man on that great great day, the great divide when all the kings and queens will have their closets emptied and the bones will all fall out. Them dry bones will not fail. Dead man will tell tales. You can laugh. It's not fun. No, you can laugh. You can laugh. And you can laugh. But it's not funny. No, it's not fun.
Hi, kids.
Hi, Chloe and Haley.
All right. Well, my history with Steve starts sometime around, gosh, I don't know, what was that, 84?
Four-ish?
84-ish
Yeah, sure.
at the warehouse. And prior to that, or so I came upon you guys, met you guys, you and Charlie Peacock at the same time in a music store in Sacramento.
Yes.
That's right, huh? Just a random meeting. I was sitting in there, and a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, a guy named Mike Ward, had told Charlie or you guys about me or something.
Yeah.
And I was over jamming in the store.
Yeah.
And you guys came walking in, just kind of spied what I was doing. That's what we used to do.
Were you playing on a set when we walked in?
We used to do that at music stores. We'd come and jam and hope
There was
guys
these
would
things
come
that
in
used
and
to be
check
called
us out.
music stores.
Yeah.
Where people could go in.
No, they have them.
And
Guitar Center.
gather together.
Yeah, but
more than 10 at a time.
Exactly.
But
it was a place where guys like that had music careers would hang out and see if they could scout guys that were around.
Right.
And so I was playing, and then you guys came up and talked to me immediately.
It's a non-committal relationship.
Yes, but then right after that, the first thing we did was that, like, literally, I did Lie Down in the Grass material with you and Charlie at the Memorial Auditorium for Easter. That was the first thing we did. We went and worked on all the Lie Down in the Grass material.
What is it like to have a young mind?
Hey, And well, it was important to me. It was
I
a
could
sea
see.
change.
I could see.
And yeah, I mean, I found myself like within a week.
Now,
of,
is this before the audition?
No, within a week of meeting
Oh,
you.
within a week of the audition for Vector.
I was
Right.
out doing the Easter Sunday. Obviously Aaron couldn't do it. But so there was I think he was doing Romeo Void at the time, so he had a bunch of gaps where he couldn't fulfill things. And so anyways, I was doing that, and that was kind of the start of the thing. And then the next thing, we got together, and you and me and Jimmy jammed in my shed out and back.
Yes.
And we had a great jam, and then all the rest was history.
And you knew the record better than we did.
There you go. I'd been listening to it.
There you go. Yeah.
So prior to that, just kind of quickly, because we got a lot of ground to cover. Okay, Steve, because I know you go on a bit.
I know I can talk forever. So yeah, you tell me what you want.
What was the origin? Or, can you kind of give us a little background on how you came to be doing the first Vector record?
Well, I had been doing a lot of bands in the Bay Area. I've been playing music for lots of years since I was 13. Well, with Mike, actually, down to 11. We were in a band together. And Mike asked me after he got the gig at Warehouse, he was on staff up there, and asked me if I wanted to come up and join a band he was starting called the Scratch Band. And I said,
which I saw the Scratch Band at my high school.
Oh my goodness.
And Mark Tootle had a giant fro.
Yes.
And Mark Proctor had a Rainbow Vistalite drum kit.
Right.
And Micro, I remember the whole thing. And you had long hair.
I had long hair, yeah. I had hair. I had hair.
You
back
did a
then.
real feather hair.
I could do that.
You were known
yes.
for the whole feathered hair thing.
I could throw it around.
Yeah,
yes, I could do that.
Yeah, you really had a pretty mane.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah.
but Mike will go into that later
Yes.
with you. But
So
go
that
ahead.
didn't work out.
The whole hair thing, or
the whole Scratch Band thing. Actually, I was kind of planning on. He said, "Well, you got to come up here anyway. It's a great church. They're way into music. We do concerts every week. Blah blah blah." So he kind of filled me in, and then eventually I moved and I got to know the people up there, and they had me start doing concerts once they found out that I did my own stuff. So I did a Steve Griffith Band thing. So I did a Steve Griffith concert at one of these weekly concerts, and I had gotten to know Jimmy through bands he was in there. He was already there, and Tom Gitalunas and Panacea and bands like that, and got him to play with me, and Landaker was on bass, and I had different guys put together a band and did some kind of progressive rock thing.
who was the drummer? Was it
Well, that particular, it might have been Guy Niosi, because he
Okay.
was one of the guys I used.
Did Dwayne ever play in that band?
Dwayne Temmie?
Yeah.
Dwayne Temmie actually played in the band after was called Vector, not before
Okay.
that. Yeah, Dwayne was one of the, and John Wireman was
I'm gonna turn this. Make sure we got enough of you.
John Wireman was one of the guys too, and we did that kind of first 3-piece thing for the Warehouse. And I had told Jimmy, I didn't want to do the Steve Griffith thing anymore, and did he want to start a band? And then my wife actually came up with a name.
So did you guys? So you kind of were like kind of a label band working with Exit, and then you got Charlie and Aaron to do the record, or did you?
We eventually, we eventually became one of the bands that Exit decided they were going to do a project with. In the meantime, Jimmy and Charlie had become friends, and Charlie was looking for something else to do other than what he'd been doing.
Oh, so this Charlie was the first thing Charlie did with Exit was Vector.
Yeah, the
Okay.
first record, the Mannequin
Before the
Virtue
Char-
record. Yeah, so we wrote some things together for that record, and that's how the first one was done. And that was with Aaron in the studio, and Charlie and Jimmy and I. And we did a few gigs with that lineup, and eventually that didn't really work out for Aaron because of his commitment to the Sevens.
Okay.
And that's when we brought in Temmie. And then eventually, as everybody has seen, or most probably you guys have seen, that Charlie eventually started doing his own record, and that changed the lineup for us once again. And of course, during that time period in between that record and the next record, we were looking for another drummer, and that's when we went to search for you.
That's when I got in and started jamming with you guys, and then I think right then, was it right then at the start of the whole thing is when we got that Charlie Peacock tour that with the Fix or something, with that thing, we did the national tour and stuff. That's where I first started working with Mike.
Yeah.
Because Mike, it was me and Mike and the Charlie band.
Yeah, well, after Charlie's record came out.
I think Charlie was kind of always trying to steal me from you, huh?
I don't know if steal is the
I'm sorry. That's a terrible way to say it.
Is the right word.
No, you know what it was? It was there wasn't a drummer around, so the drummer was always kind of getting, somebody needed the guy who could play that was around, because Aaron was gone.
Yes.
Doing Romeo Void things. I know he was
and the Sevens.
Okay, yeah, he was busy.
Was he still doing the Romeo Void thing with the Sevens?
Yeah, I think that's why he didn't do the tour with Charlie, because I'm sure he would have been doing it.
Oh,
and they just had this kid do it.
There was one tour Mike went on.
No, that's the tour.
That's the same one. Yeah.
And that because that was Bongo Bob and Eric Clevin, R.I.P. And
Ivan did one big gig with Charlie, played bass for him.
Did you do
when we opened the Missing
Persons, right?
Yeah, Missing Person show.
Aaron was playing that show.
Yeah,
and I was stoked because I got to be a roadie on that show, and Bozio was a big hero of mine. I love that.
Yes, I know.
Great.
I remember that.
You guys were great. Yeah, that was a moment. Well, okay. So then fast forward. We go ahead and we decide we're going to work together. We've got we play and kind of mess with all the material for a while and kind of try to rethink it all and play around. And then we started working on music together and which became the Please Stand By record.
Yeah.
We got like a deal with it was like a distribution deal with A&M or something, right?
Back then, yeah, they were interested in distributing the Word catalog through Exit. It was also still tied to Word, but A&M was part of that as well. And yeah, they did some they released a single of ours. I think
hey, we got
I actually have a letter.
We got MTV Play.
We did.
Yeah,
we did those two videos.
Yeah.
Filmed those in San Francisco. Yeah. That went well. That was a lot of fun. But we actually, what's interesting is a fan let me know he had found a letter inside of a vinyl of Mannequin Virtue he'd bought, and inside there was a letter with Bill Graham letterhead.
Wow.
And he read me the letter, and I was like, wow, can you shoot me a picture of that? So he took a picture of it, and it was basically a letter from Bill Graham Productions to a radio station, to the programmer, saying you need to check out this song, Surrender and Fallen Star, were the two songs they recommended.
Interesting.
So I actually was kept in touch with this guy online, and he really wanted one of those box sets that I put together back when I had Liquid Disc of all the projects, in one place. And I said, well, I'll trade you a box set for the letter. So he sent me the letter, and I sent him a box set.
Oh, nice. And you have it.
I have the letter now. Yeah,
nice,
got it put in a frame, and
cool.
It's pretty cool.
So anyway, we had an illustrious moment there. We did our thing and played around, and then went to England, and we did a few things that were cool.
Yeah, Greenbelt.
And I think we kind of
you went to Flavo, right?
No.
You didn't do Flavo with us?
But I think I remember I bailed and went and started being in Charlie's band.
Yeah, you bailed.
And then you guys...
He bailed.
I bailed.
I don't know.
You guys moved to Nashville.
Either that or Charlie stole you. I'm not sure.
But you got the big move, the big call, and you moved to Nashville, right? And you started a thing called Liquid Disc Records.
Yep.
And you put out another... What?
Temptation.
Okay.
Was another Vector project Jimmy and I did together.
And then... Simple Experience was after that?
Oh, Simple was actually before I left. Simple was...
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the one that you did...
We did... I'd left the warehouse.
Okay.
And I went to work for a video company in town called Double Vision. Okay. He had a small 8-track studio there. And so Jimmy and I cut Simple Experience on 8-track around 88, maybe? 89?
So it went from Please Stand By to Simple Experience in 89 or so.
Yeah.
Then you...
Might have been before that.
Then you moved to Nashville, and then you did Temptation there.
Yeah.
You had a studio there. You're producing guys. You produced something for the guys from DC Talk, or what was it? Who was it?
Audio Adrenaline.
Audio Adrenaline.
Yeah, I did a couple things with them.
Yeah, he had a big hit with them, and so you were doing all that business.
Yeah.
Then you kind of left the business and kind of went to Florida, right? Was that what it was?
Well, actually, from Tennessee, we moved back home to the Medford area, to Coos Bay in Oregon.
Where your family...
Because the family had
lives
moved up there, and we decided we're going to come back and be around family, and that lasted a few years.
Okay.
And then I got a gig going to Florida. So we
Working for like a super church? Or
big
doing
church out
production?
there, yeah. I was in charge of the production out there.
Okay.
And
did some group home stuff, raising
eventually,
raising kids
after the production stuff, I got into being a house parent, and had 9 middle school age boys in the house, and we were helping them just kind of get back on track and helping their family, and they're mostly single moms.
And like when they were acting up and not doing what you want, did you go, surrender? Did they just go?
Yes.
Did any of them ever really get a handle on what a talented singer you were?
Well, eventually it came out because they knew I was into music, because I'd set up a music room in the house for the guys. I had a drum set and a keyboard and guitar and a bass amp and all that. So anybody who was interested could play. Then they would just quiz me, well, what did you used to do? And what was the name of the band and all this stuff? And they'd go home and Google it on the weekends, because they were with us Monday through Friday, go home back to their parents, and they'd come back on, of course, Sunday night, Pop, because I was called Pop. That was what they had to call me. And we looked you up. We saw Vector. We saw the video. They looked at the Cornerstone video and the 2 videos we shot in San Francisco. And so, yeah, pretty soon everybody who came through the house eventually knew about that stuff. Yeah.
So then you left that, came back to Medford. Was that the...
Yeah, I moved back to Medford in 2016, and my daughter and her husband followed, and so they're living in Medford too.
And you're taking care of your father?
Yeah, my dad got diagnosed with Parkinson's, so I help with his property and help him.
And which brings us to one day, I don't know what it was. It was just good fortune. The Lord brought us all together in the same place, because
Pat.
we were... Yeah, we did a project.
Yeah,
I got a call from Pat Boylan from First Strike.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And he wanted to do... He had some songs he had written. He'd asked me to play bass and help him.
Awesome.
And got in touch with
I was all excited. I'm
Yeah.
like, cool, Steve, man, of course, getting him involved. And then you came up, and it just happened that same week, Jimmy was in town to visit his dad.
Yeah.
Just totally off the cuff. So then we all go get together and have a dinner. And then, boom, here we are talking about, hey, man, let's make a record. And Jimmy's all, hey, man, I'm down. And I'm all, heck, I got a studio. Let's do it. And Steve's like going, wow, guys, I'm retired. And so then...
We don't have any songs.
So then we get moving. And we talk about we're going to do one of these songs or another thing. And we just, whatever. Each moment was a, hey, man, we can make it all work with just this. Just tape and string.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know... Steve's sending me demos, and bam, he sends me this demo, Walk on Water. And this song is amazing. And we're like, me and Mark are both just going, okay, we got to put this on our label, and we need to do a new Vector record, and this is going to be crazy. And you can't believe how talented, what we got by dragging this guy out of retirement to show us his talent, because he's fantastic. And... then we have about right now we have
you set a deadline for me. I work pretty good with deadlines.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, you said we need a song done by January.
By January 1st, Steve. We
got to have it by January. I was like, okay. So then, off this, just since I was sharing stuff with you on one of my trips down,
right?
I said, hey, how's it going with Walk on Water? Because you'd been mixing it and dialing up the sounds and I said, well, I got this other song I want to show you just to see what you think of it. I just did a new demo of this song called Rooftops. And I put on Rooftops, and I think Mark was in the room at the same time. You both kind of went, I think this is the song.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the song we release in January. So we switched gears, and Rooftops became the one that we focused on. So.
Well, so now here we're about 10 songs deep, and Steve is in town this week to do more production with me.
Yeah.
Jimmy has already come out. We flew Jimmy out for a week and rocked out a bunch of Jimmy tracks. So we're in deep moving on this thing, and that's one of the songs, In Deep.
Yeah, In Deep.
Let's hit that song and hopefully the level on that. Oh, pray. is good. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. Rooftops.
Gold in my pocket, and that's no lie. Swimming raging rivers that won't run dry. Heart full of peace when I sleep. Planted by the shore, my roots are deep. Got the sun above me, shield in my hand. Children that number the stars in heaven. Desires of my heart, life to the dead. And those things which don't exist as though they did. Shout it from the rooftop, shout it from the rooftop. All who will listen, all who will listen, listen. A promise is made, a promise is given. Shout it from the rooftop, shout it from the rooftop, shout it from the rooftop. All who will listen, listen. A promise is made, a promise is given. Gently knocked, open the door. I was made rich, I was so poor. A gift of love when no one was giving. A gift of faith, lying straight. A gift of faith, lying straight. Shout it from the rooftop, shout it from the rooftop. All who will listen, all who will listen, listen. A promise is made, a promise is given. Shout it from the rooftop, shout it from the rooftop. All who will listen, all who will listen, listen. Promise is made, promise is given. Shout it from the rooftop, shout it from the rooftop, shout it from the rooftop. All who will listen, all who will listen. Promise is made, promise is given. Shout it from the rooftop, promise is made, promise is given. Shout it from the rooftop, promise is made, promise is given. Promise is made.
So we're gonna sign off and say, "Oh, hey, there's my son. Hey, how you doing, bro?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Did you meet Steve Jordan?
I think we have met. Maybe.
Did we meet before? No.
I don't
This
think
is Steve
so.
Griffith. This is Jordan, my son. Jordan, come on
Good
over
to see
here.
you.
Give this man a shake.
My hand is all.
All right.
How are you?
Well, I'm good, man. How are you?
All right.
I've heard a lot about you and your music.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He's a really cool beat producer.
Yeah.
He can play piano, drums. He's a talented guy.
Thanks.
For Steve Griffith, for Michael Rowe, for Chris Harrelson, for Jordan Spencer, all in the CoRoenosphere, here and at home, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Well, I'm still in drop D. You want the tuner? What is
But I
that?
can't remember
what-
what is the chorus. Wait, I'm still.
Oh, you're still drop D. What was that one?
Oh, oh.
Something like that.
See, I got to get those records out, man.
The hunger and the thirst.
The Hunger.
The hunger and the thirst.
Yeah, that was a good one. What is the let's see,
What was Mannequin Virtue? It was-
Fine Line. That's what that one was.
What album was that on?
That dog one, that Simple
Oh,
Experience.
Simple Experience. That's a great one. That see, I got to play all those with you, and I don't remember the
love
parts.
That record, man.
Yeah, that's a good
that
one.
was a fun record.
It was fun listening to your guitar parts only.
What was that one?
I'll tell you the one that blew me away is you were able to turn up your distortion and go.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you could get notes out of the.
Yeah, that was cool, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
What's that one that you sang?
The Shore. Was it? Oh, yeah, I don't remember it at all.
How is it we don't remember Vector tunes? It's been too long.
40
This is why we need to
years.
bring it back. We
Almost 40 years, right? 35? So 85. What would that be? We made that record in 83. That's
that is
17 plus
37 years.
37 years ago.
We lost.
That's a lifetime.
Well, yeah.
Steve's looking
Steve,
for more
we-
pots.
Let's just do one we all know. You
Yeah,
know,
what-
like something like.
What could we do?
You want to do one of Chuck's ones, like "Lie Down in the Grass"?
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
let's see.
What key was that in? I can't remember it. Oh my gosh. Atmosphere.
The winner seat.
Down in the grass. Oh, lie down, lie down, lie down on your ass.
butcher it or do something?
We don't know it well enough
We don't
to
know
butcher
well
it. We don't even know it well enough to
We don't-
butcher it.
Yeah, we don't know it well enough to know. What can we do, Mike? I mean, you've got a million
Uh,
songs.
well, we could do the Peacock's version of Baba. That that
Oh,
song we could do.
what key do you do it in?
Uh, a 1, 2. A welcome to custom made. Come in and have some lemonade. Reality will readjust while we evade the issues that are pressing us and getting so depressing. But undressing and unstressing makes them go away. 2, 3, 4. We're tired of solid ground. We're wired up for sound from any fool who keep us cool with all his lies. Cool with all his lies. Come on now. Ba, 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 ba. We believe, 'cause we felt it burning in our hearts. Yeah. Ba, 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 ba. It's true, if it gets us all through the night for the rest of our lives. If there's a master race, we're wondering if by chance they drop that bomb, the heat will never find us, 'cause we've learned to run. Absolutes to spoil our time, so we don't have to change our mind. Just hope that we don't die while we're still in our prime. We're tired of solid ground. We're wired up for sound from many foolish people. Cool with all his lies. Cool with all his lies. Hey! Ba, 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 ba. We believe, 'cause we felt it burning in our bosoms. Yeah. Hey! Ba, 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 ba. And it's true, it gets us all through the night. For the rest of our well, ba, 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 ba. We believe, 'cause we felt it burning in our hearts. Hey, ba, 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 ba. One more. Yeah. Ba, 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 ba. That was just practice, right? No, that was it. That was it. That was great.
That was good.
Well, let's do something else.
No, I gotta figure out what was that harmony. We gotta figure out harmony.
Oh no, it's all good, man. You want to do something else?
Yeah, do
wasn't
another
good. I
early
didn't- I
one.
didn't
What's
know you were
another early
taking
one
it.
that's
Oh, it was
crazy
fine,
fun?
man. We got to record everything.
Did you do
always-
Mercy?
Yeah, we did Mercy Mercy already.
Okay.
We could do the
Uh,
Lust. That was a Lost Dogs tune.
Yeah.
How does that one go?
Well, I feel like I have to feel something good all the time. But most of life I cannot feel the good feeling I can feel, even though it may not be real. And if a person, place, or thing can deliver, I will quiver with delight. Will it last me for all my life, or just one more lonely night? The lust, the flesh, the eyes, the cry of light, drain the life right out.
how much it costs me now or later. I want it, babe, I want it fast. I go to any length, sacrifice all that I already have and all that I might get, just to get something more that I don't need. And Lord, please don't ask me what for. The lust, the flesh, the eyes, the pride life, drain the life right out of me. And I love it when folks look right at me and what I'm doing or have done, and lay it on about how groovy I am, and that I'm looking grand. And every single word makes me think I live forever, never knowing that they probably won't remember what they said. Tomorrow I could be dead. The lust and the flesh, the eyes, the bright light, drain the light right out of me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a great song, Mike.
Thanks.
Glad you wrote that.
Well, should be heading on back to the old corral.
It's time to pack up and get on our way. Going home. Right out when we go. Going back home. What's your wife's name?
Larissa.
Larissa.
I want to
I
kiss
miss
you.
ya.
I miss you.
Oh, sweet
Larissa.
I want
to kiss you. She's going to hate
oh,
me
Larissa.
now. Ooh.
Why can't I kiss you?
Because I'm there with you.
I ain't with you.
So I better get home.
Time to pack it up. But I ain't with you.
So I better get home.
No kidding. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Under normal circumstances, I would say let's just keep
We would
going
just
all
keep
night.
going, but
Yeah.
we need to get up going. So on behalf of myself and the group, I think we kind of passed the audition.
Yeah, we'll probably be okay.
Jimmy A, the
Sweet.
illustrious Hindi Bangalong
Hindi
Hindalong.
Hang-along.
This is Doc Love. So
Over and
long.
out. Hope to see you somewhere soon.
You bet.
Phantom of the Opera.
it.